Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to take a look at the third of these Zeiss Otus series. And previously, I actually first reviewed the 85mm f1.4 and then the 55mm f1.4. And then due to a few different glitches along the way, I've been kind of delayed in getting my hands on the 28mm f1.4. But I have it in hand, and I got it in particularly for an upcoming trip where I'm profiling a fairly high-end resort, and so I wanted some of the best glass possible for this particular outing, and so I'm doing my review of the Otus 28mm f1.4 now. Now, of course, the Otus series has always been a study in extremes. These are lenses that are designed to the most exacting degrees of engineering, and much like in the car world, you can pay for a very nice mass-produced car at a certain price, and then when you get into the high-end cars, they are more handcrafted, they're more precise, and certainly much more expensive. Well, the Otus series is the hypercars of SLR lenses. And the Otus 28mm, I think, is perhaps the best representative of that so far. As you can see, this is a massive lens. And out of the Otus series, although this is the shortest focal length, it is by a fairly good margin. It is the largest lens in the series, and the lens weighs in at a very hefty 3.06 pounds. That's basically 1.4 kilograms or 1,400 grams, and that makes it a very heavy lens overall. It is also very big. It's big around. It's 4.29 inches or 109 millimeters, and it is about 5.4 inches long or 137 millimeters. And that's before you attach the very durable, very highly well-made, you can't even hardly get it to flex, lens hood that is all metal, and it's got a kind of a felt flocked interior on it. One thing I really like about the Otus series and then the Milvus series to follow is that the lens hoods, they're really purposely designed to fit the overall shape. And so I find that there's just a beautiful flow to the lenses. The lenses actually, to me, look complete with the lens hood in place, as opposed to a lot of lenses where the lens hood just kind of looks like a tacked on accessory at the end. And so I really prefer this kind of flowing type design language. By this point, I'm quite familiar with the overall build and design of the Otus series, but of course it is exceptional. And it has a rubberized focus ring that has, that is perfectly damped, and I've used it already, out in some pretty cold conditions. And I found that even in the cold, that it continues to glide along very smoothly. And that's something that's not always true even of manual focus lenses. Beyond that, it has about 120 degrees of focus throw, which is quite a bit, particularly on a wider angle lens like this. And that just gives you a lot of precision. And it's something like this, it's actually one of the reasons why that certain photographers are looking for a lens like this, despite the high price tag, despite the bulk of the lens, is that highly precise focus ring, giving you a lot of different focus positions and options, is exactly what they are looking for. Now, the Otus series has never included actual weather sealing, unlike the Milvus series, and that remains true here. There is no gasket at the rear mount, and so no claims of any kind of weather sealing at all. Beyond that, however, of course, this is designed to the very highest grades, and you can feel that it is extremely well made, that it is tough, it is durable, it is designed to last. Now, Zeiss lenses and Canon mounts like this, which they call a ZE mount, they have an electronically controlled aperture iris, just like your typical autofocusing lens. And so you can control all aperture function from the camera body. All the lens information is communicated back to the camera, the EXIF data, and there's also a focus confirmation chip. However, just know that focus confirmation chips, they're not highly precise, and so they're not, just because it indicates focus doesn't mean that the lens is actually, or the image is actually in focus. It's kind of more of an aid to get you in the ballpark. And so That's another topic for another day, however. And so like the Otus, other lenses in the Otus series, it's got quite a bright yellow lettering on it and printed on the barrel that gives you focus distance, along with some information on your kind of depth of field if you're wanting to do some hyperfocus. These markings are in this bright yellow color because it's considered to be a very high contrast color that will allow you to see them even in dim lighting. And of course, these Otus lenses are some of the ultimate low light lenses, you know, so long as you can manually focus fairly well. And they are designed to be incredibly sharp and corrected even wide open. And that's certainly true of this lens as well. If you look around front, you will find the largest front element in the Otus series. This has a massive 95mm front filter, and frankly, I've only seen this previously on telephoto lenses. And so this is certainly a very large front filter thread, and of course filters in 95mm size are going to be quite expensive. Then again, if you can afford this lens, you can probably afford a filter to put in front of it. It's a fairly complex optical formula for a 28mm prime. There are 16 elements in 13 groups. This is an apochromatic optical design. It's a Distagon arrangement of the elements. And so all of these, of course, are designed to give you kind of that maximum correction and overall resolution. And so obviously a lot of work gone into engineering, and that's reflected in the price that's associated with this, but also with the performance of what it's able to produce. You can focus down to a little under a foot, 11.8 inches, and that's about 30 centimeters or right under that. And that gives you a maximum reproduction ratio of 0.16 times. So not exceptional and certainly not class leading, but a useful figure nonetheless. And at that point, because of the overall length of this lens, particularly if you have the lens hood attached, remember that right under 12 inches is from, that's to the sensor itself, not from where the lens starts. And so that means with the hood attached, you've got about 8 to 9 inches, and so you're only really about 3 to 4 inches away from your subject at minimum focus distance. And so overall, of course, this lens is a study in extremes. It retails in the US market at right under $5,000, which makes it also the most expensive lens in the already very expensive Zeiss Otus series. So obviously this is a lens that is marketed to a fairly discerning and fairly small demographic. And if you're watching right now and you're actually shopping for this lens, then you're in that demographic. And it tends to be those that are professionals, videographers, what they call discerning amateurs in the business as well. But those that are looking essentially for the very best and aren't afraid to pay for it and to deal with the encumbrances of getting ultimate optical performance out of an instrument like this. I will be continuing to look at it a little bit closer. I'm going to compare it to the closest lens that I have on hand, which in this case is the Canon 35mm f1.4L. It's not obviously the exact same focal length, so those of you that are looking for a 28mm, some of you are not interested in a 35mm lens. But it's the closest alternative that I have. I do have one 28mm lens, but it is a vintage SMC Tacumar Prime, and you can see a picture of the comparison of the sizes here. The Tacumar has a maximum aperture of f3.5, and needless to say, the Otus lens has been stopped down quite a bit to get to f3.5, so they're not really an apples-to-apples comparison at all, not even from the same era. But 28mm, there isn't really a lot of them out there, and certainly this is the largest aperture 28mm lens that is available right now for digital SLRs. If you look down below, you can find a linkage to my image gallery and the images that I'll be taking with this lens, images that I've taken of this beautiful piece of art here. And then also, of course, there's linkage there if you would like to shop for it for yourself. And keep watching. I'll be back with some image quality examination and then, of course, my final verdict on the lens. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.